1969 Chevrolet Camaro Z28 looks like a pretty street car, but under the paint is a small block race engine, parts built for high RPM, and dozens of strange choices by Chevrolet. Some rules came from racing, some from insurance pressure, and some from plain old noise complaints. Today, let's tell this story in easy words in the same dramatic tone. 20 weird facts that show why the 69 Z28 became a legend. 20. The great horsepower lie. Chevrolet said the Z302 made 290 HP. That number was not true. Independent dyno tests and period showed 350-375 HP at the flywheel. Why lie? To keep insurance companies calm and to pass racing rules that watched the power-to-weight ratio. Engineers later admitted they picked a 290 because it sounded believable. The solid lifter cam, high compression, big Holly carb, and free revving heads told the real story. Even today, original DZ engines still pull numbers far above 290. Chevrolet's Ally ended up being a gift to gearheads. 19 manual only, and no C luxury buyers were annoyed. You could not get a Z28 with an automatic or air conditioning. The Z302 loved to spin past 7,000 RPM, and the available auto gearboxes didn't like that. The deep groove pulley system for high RPM also clashed with the C brackets, so Chevy kept it simple, 4-speed only, windows down in summer. Dealers lost sales, but the rule protected the car's hardcore image. 18. The Unicorn J-Lite brakes option. J-Lite gave the Z28 four-wheel disc brakes. It cost a lot, showed up late in the year, and only about 206 cars got it. Around 1%. Around 1%. The hardware was serious. 4-piston fronts, single-piston rears, vented rotors. Racers loved it. Everyday buyers stuck with heavy-duty drums. Today, real J-Lite cars bring huge money, and loose J-Lite parts sell for thousands. Finding an untouched one is like spotting a unicorn. 17. The cross ram that wasn't factory. You've seen photos of Z28s with the wild cross ram intake too. 4-barrel carbs facing opposite directions with long runners. Cool thing, but it was dealer installed, not factory. On the street it was rough, hard cold starts, lumpy idle, and scary fuel use. On track above 5,000 RPM it was a rocket. Because many dealers didn't document installs, people still argue about which cars had them back in the day. 16. The 2-month exhaust. Early 69 Z28s used NC chambered exhaust. No mufflers, just tuned chambers. It sounded mean and very loud. So loud that police wrote tickets for cars still on the delivery truck. After about 2 months, Chevy dropped it and moved to a quieter dual exhaust. Those first-run cars are now prized for their wild voice, and some owners retrofit chambered systems to bring the thunder back. 15. The model year that wouldn't end. The 1969 model year ran 15 months and kept going into November 1969 because the redesigned 1970 Camaro was late. Plants built New Year Chevelles and Novas right next to 69 Camaros. Parts suppliers had to keep old specs alive longer than planned. The surprise upside. Chevy produced 20,302 Z28s, the biggest year for first-gen Z28s, and the 69 shape became the poster car. 14 Xcodes confusion partway through the year. The Norwood plant added Xcodes to the Caltech, like X33 for Z28 with style trim, X77 for a plainer trim. Early cars don't have Xcodes. That created decades of confusion. Some people think a Z28 without an Xcode is fake. Others add wrong codes to early cars. Real experts read build dates, plants, and small stamp details to sort truth from fiction. 13 Hurst shifter. Standard mini muscle cars charged extra for a Hurst shifter. The 69 Z28 included it. The close ratio M21-M22 4-speed needed precise, tough linkages to keep the 302 singing past 7,000 RPM. Chrome stick, white ball, clean gates, ready for power shifts at the strip. Correct dated Hurst parts are gold for restorers today. 12. Deep groove pulleys. Look under the hood and you'll find deep groove pulleys. They keep belts from flying off at high RPM. Normal pulleys would walk the belts off above 6,000 RPM. Z28 pulleys are taller and stronger, and the belt path is set to reduce slip. They also explain why a C didn't fit. The big water pump pulley fought the compressor bracket. Many rebuilds learned the hard way. Use shallow pulleys and you'll be picking belts off the road. 11. Real cowl induction. The ZL2 cowl induction hood wasn't a toy. It pulled cool, high-pressure air from the base of the windshield. A vacuum door opened at full throttle. On a hot day, it was worth 10-15 HP, and it lowered underhood temps. About 60% of buyers ordered it. Some racers wired the door open all the time for max flow. Original hoods with the right hinges and date marks are now valuable. 10. Two different rear spoilers. Early 69 cars used the short 68 style spoiler, mostly for looks. Around January 69, Chevy switched to a wider wing that wrapped around the quarters and actually reduced lift at high speed. Because the change happened in the middle of the year, many cars today wear the wrong spoiler for their build date. Both look great. The later one works better. 9. Free stripe delete stripes were part of the Z28's identity, but Chevrolet offered RPO D stripe delete for $0. About 15% chose the clean look or planned custom paint. Odd twist, stripe delete cars are rarer but often worth less because most collectors want the iconic white or black stripes. Documentation is key. Lots of cars gained stripes late. 8. The show wheels. Only every 69 Z28 came standard with 15-inch wheels and performance tires. Other Camaros rode on 14s. The bigger wheels allowed better brake cooling and stiffer, lower profile rubber. Some owners later swapped to 14s because tires were cheaper, not realizing they were hurting handling and heat management. Today, date-correct 15-inch rally wheels are restoration must-haves. 7. Wild gear ratio. Standard axle ratio was 3.731. But the fun options were 4.10 or even 4.56. 1. With positive traction mandatory. With 4.56s, the car leapt off the line like a drag car, but highway RPM was crazy high and fuel use was single digits. Many owners swapped to taller gears later, so factory 4.56 cars with paperwork are very rare now. 6. The DZ engine code. The two letters, a DZ stamped on the engine pad, became the holy sign of a true Z28 motor. But there were batches, service replacements, and small internal differences through the year. Engines could be built weeks before installation. That makes judging a numbers, matching a tricky. Experts use casting dates, plant marks, and even tiny machining patterns to prove what's real. 5. The giant Holly on top of the 302 sat a large 780 CFM Holly 4-barrel built to a specific list number for Z28 use. Jet's power valves and pump cams were tuned on the dyno to match the high-rev personality. Vacuum secondaries kept it from bogging. Many rebuilds that used generic parts never ran right. Correct carbs with the right date codes bring serious money. Built for Trans Am, the Z28 existed to race in SCCA Trans Am. Rules said 5.0 liters max, so Chevy created a 302 from a 327 block and a 283 crank. The streetcar carried emissions gear and real mufflers, but the bones were pure race. At first, buyers were confused. Why pay extra for a smaller V8? Then Penske Donahue started winning. Suddenly, everyone understood. It was a street-legal race car. 3. Record production. 67 saw 602 Z28s. 68 jumped to around 7,200, 7,400 in 69, thanks to wins. Better marketing. In the long model year, Chevy built 20,302 Z28s. 28s. Even with that big number, demand today keeps prices high because the legend only grew with time. 2. The Endura bumper. Few chose option V3, replaced the chrome front bumper with a body color urethane piece. It could take small hits and not rust, but buyers in 1969 were unsure about a plastic. Only about 10% of Z28 buyers ticked the box. Paint match wasn't perfect back then, and the option needed unique brackets, so swapping one later is tricky. Originals with the right hardware are highly prized. 1. The 8,000 RPM tack. Early cars carried a 6,000 RPM tack, silly for a motor that loved 7,000 plus. Mid-year, Chevy added an 8,000 RPM tack with a 6,500 redline, a quiet way of saying, oh, we know you'll rev it, but please don't for warranty. The swap created another date marker for restorers. Early cars should wear the low tack, later cars the high tack. The big number dial became a badge of honor and a clear sign that the Z28 was no ordinary small block. Quick, fact-style notes, easy words, why underrate the engine? To keep insurance low and avoid racing rule trouble, why no automatic? High RPM killed autos and clashed with the pulley setup. Why J-Late so rare? Price, late availability, and many drivers happy with drums. Why drop-chambered exhaust? Too loud for streets and suburbs. Why extended model year? The 1970 redesign was late, so 1969 kept rolling. Closing the 1969 Camaro Z28 mixed racing parts with street manners, truth with clever half-truths, and a loud personality with sharp engineering. It wasn't the biggest engine of the era, but it was one of the smartest, light, high-revving, and built to win. That's why people still argue about codes, options, and tiny details. And that's why a real DZ302 screaming toward 8,000 RPM still sends a chill down the spine.